What's up, y'all? It's KB. And if you're like me, you love movies too. Welcome to another conversation. Watching that clip took me back. So I just had to share it. And it's in light of our guest for tonight's conversation. What can I say? What can I say? Tonight's guest is what I would call dedicated horror enthusiast. His channel takes deep dives into the genre, including some often overlooked gems, his passion for the classic horror films subgenre, I guess I would say, or just like the greatest hits, like the ones that we know, the studios that we know, and a lot that you might come across for the first time. But his knowledge is unmatched, and I'd love to welcome him to the conversation. Tonight's guest is Daniel from the Cobwebs Channel. What is up, my man?
Hey man, thank you for having me. I don't know if you know this, but I have become a dedicated fan not just of horror movies, but of the conversation. Because since you asked me to do this, I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I think I've maybe seen an episode or two in the past. Let me check this out. So
Hmm.
I watched the episode with Davey Deathray because it was the most recent one, and I
Nice.
know him. And I was like, well, that was great. And then I watched the
Hmm.
Frank episode, Frank's Media Reviews, and like that was great too. And I've gone through a lot of past episodes now of the conversation. I enjoy it so much. So I'm legit honored to be here. So thank you.
Yay! We love to hear that, man. We love to hear that. So I will tell you what I tell everyone. And I said, I didn't call this the interview. I call this a conversation. So I've seen you have guests on your channel. So I know that your back and forth skills are up there. So anything that you want to talk about, any place you want to take the conversation, we can go there. That's the beautiful thing about having movie lovers such as yourselves, and especially it's easy to get into like the new stuff or certain subgenre and not have knowledge about other parts. But I like the fact that, like you could be going to see the latest horror movie, but at the same time, you could talk about the actors in the Wolfman or something like that. And I love that aspect about your channel and what you bring to it. So,
Thanks,
uh,
man. I appreciate it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. We are not alone, and I'm happy to see people in the chat, people lurking, people on the replay. Thanks for joining us. Let's see who's in the chat. If you have any questions for Daniel throughout the night that's movie related, please feel free to pop it in there.
A lot of cool
Before we
people in there, I
started,
see.
I saw Frank jump in. He
Oh,
said
we got
something about,
Frank.
yeah. We
It's
also
party
got
man.
Harrison from really old movies. He was on the
Hey, man.
conversation recently too. We had a good
I
time.
watched it. It
Yeah.
was great.
We got Hollow Notes saying good evening. Good evening, sir. I personally invited this guy because I know he loves your channel. We got Jeff from John Doe Juggalo. What
Hey,
is up,
man.
my man? We got Movie Hunter 2020 saying good evening. Good evening, sir. Corey Wilkie's Movies and Music. What is up, my friend? Good to see you. Sam, thanks for joining us, Sam. I hope you got your iced Diet Coke with you and enjoying that. We got Agent James in the chat saying what's up. Hey there. She is ready for the conversation, she says. Talk about the man. There's Davey Deathray. Called you
Davey.
a real one. I like that. I like that. We got Steve
True, I'm
Moody
not
in the house.
AI.
Huh?
It's true,
Yeah.
I'm not AI. I'm a real one.
These days you can't tell sometimes. It's getting better and better. You might be speaking Hungarian and it's not really your voice. We don't know. We don't know. We got Steve Moody in the house. What is up? People saying hi to each other. Love to see that. We got Michael joining us saying hi. We got Prince joining. Good to see you. He says, Daniel. That's my little shout to Kendrick Lamar and his sweep of the Grammys last night. My God. Sam reminds everyone to hit that like button. Yeah, if you haven't done so already and you like what you're seeing here, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment, and of course, hit that like button before you leave. We got Brother Dell in the house. What's up? Another fan of your channel there. Good to see
Hey,
you as
man.
always, my man. He hit me up with a lovely package in the mail. Thank you again, sir. He
Oh,
knows my love
cool.
of Hitchcock, and he graced me. He blessed me. Love it. Love
We
it.
share that love.
Yeah. And you know what? With the way things are going today, I put an IG out there today saying, if you have a friend in Canada, Sam, my man, Zombie Daddy Films, anybody, start to just trade some movies or something. Support United States and Canada trade efforts in your
I
own,
agree.
because otherwise, I don't know. I don't
And
know.
maybe you'll make such good friends with them, they'll let you move there.
You know what? I'll bring Takis and Frank's Red Hot. Just let me in. I know you can't get it up there, so I'll
You'll
bring
bring
it
some of
to
that
you.
KC barbecue too?
I
Come on,
know.
can't say
Bring
no.
some Gates, something, something. Let's see who else is here. Saying hi in the chat. What's this? Prince says just watched Back to the Future yesterday. Yes, good for you, man. It's probably one of my favorite movies from the '80s. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty close to my wife's favorite movie of all time.
yeah. Shout out to her too. A mom's job is never done. A parent's job is never done. I'll say that.
Very true.
Yeah, you got to hit up Tiana and say, "Let's get the trade going." That's another Canadian that we got in our midst. So, talking about in our midst, I'm just gonna get this popping from the beginning. We have something in common, courtesy of, I'm now calling him this, our connector, Nathan Jones.
That's right. We have a mutual real life friend,
Yes,
which is
real life
cool.
friend. He has slept at both our places, and
That's
so I
true.
don't know exactly where you are, and I don't want you to reveal it, but could we have done this conversation in person?
It would have been about a couple hours drive.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I
So we
I
could
was
have if we were
figuring that.
dedicated.
I was figuring that. But you're technically one state over.
I'm not, I don't think, unless you're on the
I'm
Kansas
on
side of
I
Kansas.
am on the
But I'm
Kansas side.
oh, okay, yeah, I'm in Missouri, mid Missouri.
Yeah, but I'm right over state line, so Kansas City, whatever.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah, Nathan always comes up here, and funny enough, another person that he connected me to was Ryan from the Disconnected. And
Hmm.
now it's like I see him more than I see Nathan because, he's local. But then
Right.
think of other people, Chris, who I know you've had several times on. And then over in the UK, people like Sam and Elliot Cohen. And I don't know if you're familiar with this, but Malcolm Gladwell has a book talking about outliers. And he says some people are just connectors and they don't realize it.
Hmm.
So, Nathan Jones, you are a connector, my friend. So,
That's
thank,
right.
thank you for bringing Daniel to my life. And now we could have this conversation.
Absolutely. Shout out Nathan Jones,
Yes, sir.
specifically Blu-rays with Nathan Jones.
Oh, no, 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 no. Film Journeys now with Nathan Jones. He
Did he
switched up
change the
on us.
channel name?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't
Because
even
I mean,
notice. He didn't tell me.
he's been doing like the film journeys for himself, and then he has people on now doing that too. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Let's see. All right, let's start with this since I'm wearing the shirt. So I know people are making content about it and all that. We could talk about this and we could talk about another franchise, but what do you think about the casting choices for this new Scream movie coming out? Then we'll get into the classics after that.
Oh boy, we're starting out controversial, are we?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Gotta start hot. Hot takes.
So I like the Scream franchise. I think they're fun, entertaining movies. I'm not passionate about Scream. It's not one of my
Yeah.
favorite franchises, but I think they're fun.
Hmm.
My biggest problem isn't so much anyone they have casted, it's who they haven't casted.
Yeah.
Because the thing that got me interested in these new Scream movies was Melissa Barrera. Because
Yeah.
especially in Scream 6, I thought she was so good in that. And I was so interested in her character. And I was like, man, they have moved on from the legacy characters so well. And I'm totally invested in Sam Carpenter and in the core four. I loved the core four in Scream 6. I was like, this is great. I'm all in on this.
Yeah.
And then backstage drama happened and she got fired for
Hmm.
still very strange reasons to me. And when that happened, I was kind of like, I don't really care anymore, to be
Right.
honest, because I think Sydney's story is done. I think it's played out. I liked in Scream 6 that she wasn't there and they said, she's going to have her happy ending or whatever they
Yeah.
said. Like she's moving on from this. And I thought, you know what? She deserves it. Sydney's great. She doesn't need to be dealing with this ghost face thing anymore. Let's move on to the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're just back to that, and it just feels like same old, same old.
Yeah.
Honestly, my biggest issue with casting so far is that Mark is not Mark from Scream 3. They mentioned in Scream 5 she's married to Mark. So you think,
Right.
great, Patrick Dempsey from Scream 3 makes sense. Love it. And
Right.
now they're like, no, it's not that Mark. It's Joel McHale, a different Mark. And I'm like, are
Yeah.
you kidding me? That is so stupid. So I hate that. But the first thing I heard that had me a little interested is Matthew Lillard, because I love Matthew Lillard. It's a fun, crazy character. And I'm like, you know what? If this thing is going to be bad anyway, let's just
Mm-hmm.
spice it up with Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
They've been like inching towards a Stu revival, coming back from the dead or whatever, for
The
a
fans
long
want it.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, let's just do it. I know other people are concerned that they've ruined the surprise. And like they've announced it, so it's not going to be a plot twist. I mean, he's either going to be a cameo, which I
Mm-hmm.
hope not, because I think that's just cheap, and I don't want to do that. Or he's just gonna be a character throughout the movie. And like, I would be kind of into it if we don't do the whole mystery thing and the whole movie is just Stu is back, he's killing people. I
Yeah.
think that'd be cool. Like, make him like our Michael Myers or whatever.
Yeah.
So like, if only because I have no investment in this anymore, I'm like, sure, let's do the Stu thing. That's the only thing
It's
that
gonna be a fun ride.
sounds fun. Yeah.
The thing is, like, before the whole shakeup with Melissa, I was really hoping they would explore her more as Ghostface. Even though Ghost Billy, not a fan, but just to kind of lean into that, lean into the evil kind of thing.
Could be
And
interesting. Yeah.
it would be really cool, kind of like in a violent nature kind of way, for us to see in this movie for the first time Ghostface from that perspective, get that POV of the character
Could have
as
been
the movie
interesting.
progressed. And I thought, if they reveal that she was the next Ghostface up front, that would have been an interesting take to just give the franchise a little freshness, because it is a little bit of lather, rinse, repeat. And the core four, as you mentioned, it got a little like impossible, we'll never die kind of thing. But
Yeah, pretty dumb. So like, Stu coming back from the dead is not the most unrealistic thing they've
no,
done.
it's not. It's not. We saw major organs go to waste, obliterated.
Yeah.
Oh man, we got some other people in the chat. Let me say hi quickly. We got Jamie Hart. What is up there? She's going to be coming up on a future conversation. Hopefully, we don't know
Oh,
when,
cool.
but we will try to make it happen. Sam says, I got invested in the core four after Scream 6 2. Didn't care for them much in 5, but 6 sold me. Yeah, I think after the events of 5, they kind of came together more. So it definitely helped.
Yeah.
Elric says, Scream represent, I dig everything except 5, though it had bright moments like Jack Quaid and the unfolding story of Barrera and Ortega. Yeah,
That
I
right
think they
there.
really did character development in 5, but it really pushed in 6. What do you
I
say?
agree. That right there is my real life best friend. His name is actually Seth, and he's a mutual friend with Nathan Jones as well. So what's
Nice.
up, man? Thanks for popping in.
Welcome to the conversation, dude. Let's see. Jamie adds, I think even Patrick Dempsey was shocked he's not married to Sydney.
It's probably because he's going to be busy. I assume he's going to be busy with Thanksgiving too. So that's probably
Could be.
why.
Could be. He liked my POV of Ghostface. Super interesting take. You know what it is? I don't know about you. I have this thing where if I watch a movie and I just feel like it's so, but then days go by and I can't get it out of my mind, and I have to either go back and see it or talk to someone about it. And I mentioned In a Violent Nature, that happened with that movie. I went to see it and I'm like, oh, great. So now we know what Jason does all day, blah. And then, we had probably the best kill of the year, in my opinion,
Yeah,
in that movie. And I was like, oh no, I'm staying with this. This is good. And I
I love that movie.
could not get that movie out of my mind. And I had to go and see it again. I plopped down my money and I went to see it again. And I'm like, this is an interesting concept. And now I want to see other movies. It's kind of like, what was the first one? Maleficent, or maybe even Wicked, if you want to throw in Broadway musicals. But the Villain's Tale. And now I want to see other stories and franchises explore that. So I think that would be interesting, just to freshen it up a little bit.
It'd be
Uh,
interesting if more movies actually do that, but most
yeah,
of the time when they pretend to do that, they just turn the villain into an anti-hero. So
yeah,
they don't
or
really
they
do it.
Scooby
But In a
Doo it at
Violent
the end.
Nature really does it.
Yeah, they Scooby Doo it at the end and then show you everything that the villain did to get to this point. Davey had Scream 6 was so interesting. He had a good live stream talking about this recently too. So interesting for the first two thirds, but man, the reveal totally deflated my opinion. I Sometimes if I can
Boo.
figure out who it is early, it takes me out of it, but I was kind of like along for a ride at that point, and I think that's what it is. After the franchise kind of went meta in 3, and Courtney with bangs and everything, it was like everything after that, I was like, I'm just here for the ride. I'm along for the ride. And then the refresh with 5 and 6, I'm along for the ride. So 7 is just
Yeah.
gonna be more the same for me.
The reveal in 6 was like fine enough. Like I don't care about it. But the
Mhm.
reason I like the third act of that movie is because Melissa Barrera goes like full ghost face on them and goes
Right.
super vicious. And I was like, this is cool. We have not
Explore
seen this in
that.
a Scream movie before.
Yeah, explore that. That'd be dope. That would be so fun. All right, so I don't have it on, of course, but it is my favorite franchise. I can't even find it anywhere. It's up there somewhere. But you are another physical media collector. You like your
Yes,
horror
indeed.
movies and you like to watch them over and over again. So we got news that Freddy, A Nightmare on Elm Street, through Zavi, is coming out with a 7 film collection. That means no Freddy versus Jason, but the price for 4K steelbooks with an average of what, $37 each. Zavi selling
260 total.
260 total. I've been known to drop a pretty penny on the Nightmare movies. Like the Treasure DVD box set. I'm a day oneer. you know, sit on my porch, rocking chair style, and be like, I remember when that DVD came out. But I don't know, 260 is kind of rich.
Very, very high. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got to keep in mind you're getting 7 movies, but then you got to wonder, is seeing these 7 movies in slightly better quality really that important to you?
Right.
And for me, like, I'm really not the biggest 4K guy.
Mhm.
And even like this year in particular, more than the past, I feel myself a little bit turning against the whole 4K thing for a few reasons. So for me, if I were to get it, it would be a package buy, which is a legitimate reason, I think. And I think that's okay because I do love that franchise. It has a terrible release on Blu-ray. Just the most basic blah packaging you can imagine. And it
Mhm.
would be nice to have like a nice set of the movies for sure. So that would be the reason. It like part of me wonders, is it gonna go down? But then like a lot of these steelbook collections go out of print like that, like the Rambo one and such. So maybe it won't. Can
Yeah.
I see myself paying 260 for it? I don't think so, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate because I would love to have a good collection of them, but not
Yeah.
for 260.
Jamie mentions here, Born to Born to Be Rad. My man G was on last night streaming and talking about it as well, and he said no way. And he brought
Yeah,
up
he'll
an
buy it.
interesting point. Since it's nearby, I could grab it too. If it's like Rambo, I might be able to justify it because, like you said, they don't last long, and it's going to be a memorable set. But these days they're coming more like this, where
Mm.
it's kind of like stacked on stack. So it's really a matter of how Warner Brothers decides to do it. If they choose to do it more like Rambo, you might see people buying it more. But if
I think so.
it's
I think
more
so.
like
I would
that,
bet $260 that Garrett will buy it. No question.
yeah,
If I know Garrett, he'll buy it.
yeah, he's saying no way now, but give him a
Yeah.
minute. Movie Hunter says 260 is a lot. I have several 10 steel sets that I sold day one for 150. Yeah, and the closest comparison, at least to what we want, is a Harry Potter set, and that was only $2. So yeah, it's true. And I think that and the Rambo are two beautiful steelbook sets. and that didn't really fly off the shelves as quickly as like the Rambo set did. Let's see some other comments. Shame Scream Factory didn't get Elm Street like they did with Halloween and Friday the 13th.
Man, I agree.
Yeah,
Could
they
have got
did
it for like
something,
$80.
and they did some crooked things to get that Friday the 13th set made, and that will never be made again. That's for sure. Sam adds, Brandon needs to see more artwork and specs. Yeah, me too. And the other thing is, if we're not getting anything new, and it's just like older stuff from like the DVD and the Blu-rays, it makes it a lot harder to justify.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if they would include Never Sleep Again, which is like
Mhm.
maybe the greatest movie making of documentary I've ever seen.
I enjoy that one
Um,
too.
but that's a full movie, so they might call it an 8 movie set in that case, and they haven't. So probably
Yeah. Dell says I can wait for either a price drop or a cheaper option. You might get both. You might get both.
the worry is that the cheaper option will be the Blu-ray packaging, but 4K this time, you know? And in that case, I would never buy that. There's
Yeah.
no incentive for me.
Hot take, hot take. 260 is quite a bit for 3 good movies out of 7. Um, so I'm thinking he means the first one, Dream Master and Nightmare. Correct me if I'm wrong, Davey.
I would say they're pretty much all good except for Freddy's Dead.
Yeah.
Dream Child, not great, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I would go not good at
Yeah.
all. It has
I'm
good
with you.
stuff.
And I have grown in appreciation of 2. Um,
Yeah, me too.
once again, showing my age, I saw the first one on VHS. And then I was happy to run to the theater on opening night for 2, and we all sat there like, "What the this is not like the first one." It was so
Pretty
left of
weird.
center, and then, other people were like, "I don't know, I felt kinda strange sitting there." Something about that movie, but later on, we figured out, once we got out of our teenage lizard minds that it was, there were a lot of innuendos in that movie, so but whether you've seen Scream Queen or the documentary about Mark Patton, or you just even some of the stuff in Never Sleep Again, like you mentioned, it's like you can't dismiss 2 as just a crappy movie. There's so much nuance and elements to it.
Hmm.
Maybe again, I'm a Fred head, so I think that, but I enjoy that movie for what it is.
It has amazing effects.
Yeah,
It's
because
really
what
good.
happened is they got the money from the success, especially the, physical media success of the first one,
Hmm.
and they were able to give Freddie more time because they had more makeup money and all that stuff. There's like 3, 4 people that played him in that first movie. It's crazy. It's
Hmm.
crazy.
One of my favorite big special effects to see in a horror movie, like 80s horror movie especially, is just somebody crawls out of somebody else's body. We just saw that in The Substance, which is great. I
Yeah,
can name a few movies where that happens,
yeah.
and Nightmare 2 is one of them, and I always like that.
Mhm. He's coming again. Yeah, Um, what I worry about is the US set being released after yeah, and Warner Brothers is famous for that, especially last year. I knew about the Nightmare, and I didn't care about getting the 4K from the UK on that, but I ordered this because, I'm a big Hitchcock fan, and this
Hmm.
is the North by Northwest, comes with the book, comes with the steel book, and it's the UK version. And then I pre-ordered it as soon as it popped up because I'm such a big fan of the movie. And then I started seeing all these other options, and I just went back and forth. Should I cancel it? Should I keep it? Blah blah blah. So apparently I kept it, but when I see it on Amazon now for like $20, and I'm like, I paid a lot more than $20 for it. So I don't know.
It
I
happens.
would Movie Hunter is the guy that has all the US 4Ks and Blu-ray steelbooks. So to keep the trend going, I think you're gonna order it. You're gonna order it. And if the US comes out and is cheaper, you'll order it. Just, end up selling one of them, if anything.
Hmm.
Yeah, a lot of us do, Jamie. I have that Blu-ray set. It's really very boring packaging. And the transfers are pretty crappy too. I mean, I still revert back to my DVDs and compared to even touching Blu-ray. I think
Oh, really?
the only one on the Blu-ray I still watch up until recently was the first one, um, and New Nightmare. So the first and the last one, but the other ones I just thought they almost look like upscale images, but I'm not getting into the technical aspects of it.
Oh, okay. It's been a while since I've watched them, so maybe if I went back, maybe
Yeah,
I'd feel more inclined to upgrade to the 4Ks.
yeah, and
All
a
right,
lot of broken.
$260. Here it
There
is.
you go.
Done.
We got them sold.
I don't need it.
Yeah, and a lot of those came with like broken spindles, and you had floaters all over the place. So, Sam says, "I love me some Mark Patton. He is a character. He is a character. Dream Master isn't bad. I love Alice and her powers. There's a lot of people that think Dream Master is better than the OG, and
Dream Master is my second favorite. I love
yeah,
Dream Master.
yeah, I'm up there with you. It's for me, it's 1, 3, New Nightmare, and then everything follows after that. So that's the go along with Davy's hot take. Michael adds, New Nightmare is my favorite of the Freddy Kruegers. You know what? If we didn't get that, we wouldn't have Scream and all those meta movies that followed. That was really the OG meta movie as far as the horror genre is concerned, I think.
It's a favorite for a lot of people. It's
Mhm.
very good.
This was the best thing about those later movies is that more money, better kills, you know.
And
Although,
I love Alice.
yeah,
Alice is one of my favorite characters in the franchise, so she's a big
yeah,
reason I like those movies.
it's kind of hard to beat Welcome to Prime Time, though. That's up there for me. Yeah, Never Scream Again is a very emotional one, and so is Scream Queen. I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but both of them very well done. Scream Queen came out with a partner label on Vinegar Syndrome. It's still available. I think you could even get it at Walmart if you try hard enough. But very well done. But never sleep again. Excellent. Yeah, sometimes the UK releases are pretty great, but they're also a pretty penny. Enjoy it 731. Yeah, those are probably the best in the franchise. I think most people would agree. So we do have. Oh, she meant Scream Queen. Gotcha. We do have. I mentioned that Harrison from Really Old Movies is in the chat, and he really likes classic movies. I think he mentioned that most of the movies he reviews up to 65, and he gave his reasons why when he was on the conversation. If you want to go back and check that chat later on, but I know that the Universal monsters and Poltergeist are what got you into classic and contemporary horror movies, respectively. But
That's true.
what inspired you to start the Cobwebs channel?
Yeah. So it started out as not a YouTube channel. It started as a podcast. And the original title was Cobwebs, a Gothic cinema podcast. And the point was to talk about old Gothic horror. And
Hmm.
really, the reason was I was kind of trying to create the podcast that I wanted to listen to that didn't really exist. Because
Hmm.
I particularly I wanted to listen. I was really into film podcasts at this time. And I wanted to listen to more podcasts about like Hammer movies, particularly. I wanted to hear discussion about those and like the Vincent
Yeah.
Price movies and such. And it just felt like nobody was talking about them. And I listened to a lot of horror podcasts, like no one ever mentioned Hammer movies. There's one podcast I listened to for a while where there's one guy on there who was into Hammer movies, and he'd pretty frequently say, "Oh, we got to do an episode on Hammer," and no one else was interested. Everyone else was just kind of like, yeah, maybe, and it just never happened. And
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what? Maybe I'll just do it. So I sat in front of a microphone. I got the equipment, and I just recorded myself talking about first Curse of Frankenstein. That was my first episode, and then
Nice.
second was Dracula, Prince of Darkness. And I put them out there. And then I started to see, well, let me see if I can get guests. My first guest was Nathan Jones, and we recorded in person because for a while I didn't know how to do these call things.
Yeah.
And then I figured out how to do the online calls, and I started guesting with more people. And it turned into a really great journey. I met a lot of amazing people, a lot of people I'm still friends with today through podcasting.
Mhm.
It then went through a switch where I changed it to just called the Cobwebs Podcast. and just made it talking about old movies in general because I didn't want to be pigeonholed into just horror anymore, which is funny
Right.
where I am today. Um, and then I just thought, well, let me try the YouTube thing. And I don't remember it being like a big decision, like this is why I'm doing this. But it was like, I think I just want to talk about my physical media more. And I was like, I just going,
Mhm.
I just want to talk about Blu-rays or whatever. Um, so I did that, and I did like maybe 10 videos, and I just kind of fell off.
Mm.
I think maybe I just lost interest, or I had one troll that was like going after me pretty hard, and I think that kind of killed my spirit with it a little bit, and I didn't do it anymore. And then I came back to it, was like, well, let me try this again. And I put out an episode on my top 10 film noir movies,
Nice.
and that video like skyrocketed, like way more than anything else I'd ever done before. And I was like, what? Why? Like I've been absent for so long. I post after months and it does really
No
well.
rhyme or reason.
Yeah, I don't know. It's also my worst quality video on my channel,
Doesn't matter.
because it didn't record through my mic. It recorded through the computer, so it sounds terrible. But that was kind of the kickstart it needed. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something to this YouTube thing. And I kept doing it, and it started doing much better than the podcast ever did. And then I kind of lost interest in the podcast and was like, well, let me just focus on the YouTube channel,
Mhm.
and been focusing ever since.
Nice. Nice. And what one of the things that I love is that I mentioned it before as far as like modern day horror and all that. People like you and Harrison just I don't want to say going back to the oldies because that sounds like, you're ready for a walker or something, but I there's something special about finding that love at an early age. So, do you remember like how old were you when you started watching like those Universal monster movies and all that?
Really, ever since I can remember. I've said before that the first movie I can remember being really obsessed with was Dracula with Bela Lugosi. My dad was super into Universal Monsters as a kid, so he introduced them to me at a very young age.
Mhm.
And I remember one Christmas when I was a kid, I got a bunch of Universal Monsters VHS tapes for Christmas. And we spent all day on Christmas, like watching Universal Monsters movies. And it's one of my favorite Christmas memories. And I even
Nice.
got some toys. I got a Frankenstein, a Wolfman toy, and such. Um, like ever since I can remember, really.
Mhm. So, just a flashback to the beginning, that intro that I showed you is from New York, WOR Channel 9 on Saturday nights at midnight, then later on it shifted to 1 o'clock. They would show classic horror movies, Hammer, Universal, whole 9 yards, and that was my Fright Night. So
Cool.
that's how I discovered all of these classic horror movies. And the first one that I saw was Dracula, the Universal
Nice.
Dracula. And I've always had a copy of that movie. And that intro, it's funny because if you look in the comments, someone said the worst thing was to wake up and see that on your screen because it was like you could fall asleep, waiting for wrestling or something, and then all of a sudden you wake up and that thunderclap was so loud. If you were like half asleep, it would wake you up. And then all of a sudden you just start seeing these faces, and it didn't matter if you're afraid of that stuff or not. It got you. And the different colors, it was kind of like a LSD trip at midnight. So um, yeah, but I just remember seeing so many classic horror movies and Hammer and, being introduced to people like Vincent Price, House of Wax. That's where I saw all of these on Saturday nights. And the funny thing is that I were sneaking into like the room where the TV was after I was supposed to be in bed and all that stuff to see these movies that terrified me. But it's such a core memory, and it's really my first foray into the horror genre. So I have fond memories, and I don't get chills or anything when I see that. I mean, it's crazy, but I have fond memories of
Yeah.
watching those films, and yes, I have them on physical media now, and I could throw in Creature from the Black Lagoon or whatever it is, but it's not the same. It's not the same huddle with my, one hand on the volume, the other on the brightness, so I could like turn them both down and look like the TV's off. I'm stupid. I didn't know that it'd be glowing in the back because it was like one of them old school TVs, but just keeping it loud enough that it would you'd be able to hear it, and the brightness, high enough so you could see it, and just enjoying these movies. So not everyone has that passion for the old movies. So when I talk to people like you and Harrison and people who love classic movies, I don't care if it's like something coming on TCM or, some rare obscure movie that you have a DVD or VHS copy for. It's beautiful. It's the love of movies. That's what we're all here for.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's see what they're saying in the chat. Still going on about Nightmare. Couple of them quickly. People would be crazy to pay 260 for Elite. And it's me. I'm people. I'm crazy. What's up, Dean?
I appreciate that self-awareness.
Harrison agrees. Heck yeah. Dracula 31 is the best. Have you seen the Spanish version?
So here's the thing. I've tried. I have not been able to like get into it or like get
Yeah.
through it because like what I love so much about the original Dracula, I mean, it's Lugosi and it's Dwight Fry too, but like it's
Mhm.
Lugosi. And when I'm watching it and it's kind of the same thing and it's not Lugosi, I'm like, I just don't like this.
Yeah.
So I haven't
Yeah.
finished it, but I recognize there's some more interesting camera work because
Mhm.
one thing that's not great about Dracula is the cinematography. It's not like particularly interestingly well shot.
No.
It's stagey. Everybody calls it stagey. It is.
Yeah.
I don't find it to be much of a problem personally, but I
Because
recognize
you
that.
you have to be aware of the times. I mean, everything was sound stages back then. So to have something that was like atmospheric, you had to really get into it. And they didn't expect this to take off the way it did. No way.
Yeah, but I also recognize that like James Whale did do a better job with Frankenstein than Todd Browning did with Dracula. Like he made it a more interesting film. He did like do more interesting things with the filmmaking.
Mhm.
I still adore Dracula, but like even for the time, I recognize it could have been better.
Yeah. And when I need a good laugh, I will throw in that Universal and watch The Invisible Man because
Oh, it's
he's just
amazing.
insanely funny.
It's
Dean
so
mentions
good.
he has both of the Universal Monsters 4Ks and still haven't watched it. Dude, just crack it open.
Boo!
Crack figure out which one is
They're
your
so
best.
short. They're so
I
good. It could
know.
be an opener to whatever other
Just
movie you're
just
watching.
by the time you're, like, dead scrolling on some streaming services, you could knock out Frankenstein.
That's right. That's right. I hate scrolling through streaming services. It's like I
Yeah,
refuse to do
it's
it.
soul-sucking, it really is. But, yeah, crack it open and just, like, turn out all the lights and just enjoy it. It's fun. It's fun, and watch some of the features too because they're very informative and they'll make you wanna watch more, for sure. I'm trying to think. American Werewolf in London. There's a feature on there that made me wanna go back and watch every Lycan movie possible.
Ooh,
Yeah, so if you
cool.
have the Arrow, limited edition or just the disc itself, check out the special feature on there. It's really, really informative. It's basically like a film history of werewolves.
That's a good call out. Right
Yeah.
on.
Eli, what's up, my man? Thanks for
Hey,
joining us.
Eli.
We got Kenny Levels
We
in the
got
house.
Ken.
Thanks for popping in, man. How's it going? Check out Mid-Level Media. Check out the Physical Media Report. I look at the time now. I'm working and I see, I'm on Central Time, so I see it's close to 4 o'clock. I'm like, all right, schedule 4 o'clock because I know he did it on Sunday. So I always look for that
Yeah.
post.
It's your
Uh,
hub for everything physical media and entertainment.
that's right. You find out what gets your juices flowing.
That's right. Get the juices flowing. I love
My
that.
favorite fish is in the house. What's up, my friend? Got to see you soon. Let's see. So he said they're open. He just have to, dude. You start and you'll just continue. You'll just continue. Yes, American Werewolf in London, the Arrow set, which is still one of my favorite of my Arrow collection. That's still one of my favorites. That RoboCop, um, for personal reasons, Stylus,
Oh,
and
Stylus is good.
yeah. Well, the director is literally my neighbor, Jill. Jill
Oh,
Smith.
I knew she was Kansas City and she shot in Kansas City. So I got some Missouri pride with the
Yeah,
Stylus
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, she lives on the Kansas side, but she quote unquote lives in Kansas City, Missouri. So
Oh, okay.
you know, always over there. So always good to see her. So with the focus on horror, can you remember the first movie that truly scared you?
Yeah, it wasn't Universal Monsters because I loved them as a kid, but they didn't
Yeah,
scare me.
right.
Um, it might be The Fly, the Vincent Price The Fly. I've told this
Mm.
story on a lot of streams, so some people are probably sick of hearing it. I'll make it short. But my dad showed me The Fly with Vincent Price, and for the most part, I was just like, "Yeah, this is fun." You know, it's a little campy. The Fly costume looks goofy, but I'm enjoying it. And then it gets to the end, and it reveals there isn't just a man with a fly's head; there is a fly with a man's head, and he's in a spider web, and a spider's
Mhm.
going after him. And it was the scariest thing I'd ever seen in my life. It absolutely traumatized me. Like I was scared for years of that.
Wow.
But then I was also scared of like my dad showed us Darkness Falls, which is that 2000s movie with the
That
tooth
is
fairy.
yeah,
Terrified me.
that's a great
Absolutely.
movie.
And then sometimes just like telling me about movies really scared me because like God
Mm.
knows why. When I was a little kid, my parents told me all about the Silence of the Lambs. And for years, I was terrified of cannibals. I like had this legit fear
Hannibal the
of
Cannibal.
cannibals as if I would ever meet one or something.
Oh, wow. It's not my first one, but I do remember I was in New York City, and we had a lot of, uh, like, a diversity of people in the neighborhood, and I remember when Serpent and the Rainbow came out, and someone told me
Oh,
that that thing might as well be a true story, and I was like, "There's really people doing that?" He's like, "Yeah, voodoo is real." And then that same Fright
based on
Night,
a book?
I think it was what's the name of that movie? Is it White Zombie?
Yeah, with Lugosi. That's a voodoo
Yeah,
zombie movie.
which literally that's the first zombie movie.
Mhm.
Not the aspect that we have today, but I was like and they're talking about it in that movie, so I was like, "They were talking about it back in the '30s? Yo, this is real."
Mhm.
And then
I
I
mean, it's a
watched
real
that movie.
religion for
Yeah,
sure. It's a real
and I
practice.
watched that movie, and I was like because we used to see the commercials, of course, "Don't let them bury me, I'm not dead," and then all of a sudden, it's like I saw the movie, and it freaked me out. Oh
Oh,
my
that's
gosh, it
great.
freaked me out so bad.
I just did a video on like my top 10 vintage zombie movies, like really old
Mhm.
ones. So I got to get into like the voodoo history and stuff, and it's
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, especially when you take a look I know you're a big, Dawn of the Dead fan. When
Mhm.
people look at those movies and they think that's the origin of zombie, that's the Romero version of zombies, but zombie movies go back so much further than that, like we're
Mhm.
saying, back to the '30s, and then written, literature, it goes back even further than that, so it's just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Couple of comments here. Sam says she loves Jill. I just picked up her new movie, Ghost Game. I went to the premiere last April, so when it came out, I was like, "Oh, I gotta get that." Um, she didn't write that one. It was written by Adam Cazares. He's the one who does those books, Clown in the Cornfield, which I heard they're
Oh
making into
yeah,
a movie.
they are. Yeah,
That's
I
gonna
love
be
following him
crazy.
on social media. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy. So he wrote Ghost Game, she directed it, but it's a cool little film, but the stylist is like, that's my jam. It's such a joy when I find creators with a love for vintage horror and sci-fi. Sci-fi, that's me. And my earliest introduction to horror was Amicus Anthology, Asylum, shown on Chiller Theater. I'm
I love
unfamiliar with
Asylum.
that one. You know about that one?
Yeah, so Amicus is a company that's a lot like Hammer, and they did
Mhm.
British horror films around the same time, but they're not at the level of Hammer. But
Yeah.
they did a whole run of a bunch of horror anthologies, and Asylum's one of them. It's really good. It's got Peter Cushing and Herbert Lom, Patrick McGee, a lot of great actors and fun stories. I actually have a video coming like next week, or
Mhm.
maybe this week, that'll talk about Asylum a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I gotta dig into that. Ken likes us, saying his lines. S You should make that into a Instagram story or something. What's up, Steve? Joining us here, saying hi to everybody. Dean adds, "Halloween '78 gave me nightmares as a child. By now, it's my favorite movie of all time." I recall the story of seeing it, the TV version. They showed it the night it
Oh
was a
yeah.
Friday
I
night.
like the TV version.
Yeah, it's on the 4K set too.
Mhm.
They showed it on TV for the first time. It was a Friday night and it was Halloween night. And then later that night, the music video showed for the first time, not on MTV, but like on regular TV, was the first time they showed Michael Jackson's Thriller, the long version.
Ooh,
And that was
cool.
like an event. We had a Halloween party. We watched freaking Halloween, and then we stayed up past the news. And then Friday night videos came on and they showed the full length version of Thriller. Why don't we have Michael Jackson's Thriller on like DVD, Blu-ray, something?
I mean, he's got a biopic coming out soon, so, like, maybe there'll be a resurgence of Michael Jackson physical media, I don't know.
I hope so. Just that was once like the biggest seller of all time, making Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Mhm.
And then of
Oh,
course
yeah,
they had
that
the full
album. It
version
might
on it.
is it still the highest best-selling album of all time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Taylor Swift hasn't caught up yet.
No, Taylor hasn't, Beyonce hasn't, but they're trying. They're trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stylist was solid. Saying hi to each other. Cool. Let's see. Oh, here's something. I don't think I've ever heard you talk about this. We're talking about a very broad genre, especially these days. It seems like there's more and more subgenres popping up, slashers, psych horror. What do they call that? Not high art. What do they call like the
Elevated horror.
elevated horror? Ugh, folk horror. I know Nathan Jones is into that, all the folksy hours and all that. Do you have a favorite subgenre?
Yeah, mine is vampires. I love vampires. Like, often, even if you what I think you gotta think about when you think what's your favorite subgenre is think, if you watched a really crappy version of this, would you still like it? And with me,
Yeah,
vampires, probably. Yeah.
yeah.
Especially if they're gothic vampires, if it's like a period piece and there's like a
Mhm.
castle or they're floating through fog up to somebody's window, all about it. Love those
So I
movies.
know the vampire movies are up there. What else?
So my favorite movie of all time is Fright Night. I absolutely
Okay.
adore Fright Night. Yeah,
Well, you
it's
must
just
have loved
to
that intro.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It to me, it's like the most fun movie. It's like the most fun movie I've ever seen in
Yeah.
my life. And I didn't even grow up with it. I discovered it on Netflix streaming. I remember it was like one
Really?
morning, and I was like, "Oh, let me turn on a movie." I was probably like in my early 20s, maybe late teens.
Mhm.
And I watched Fright Night, and like at that point, I hadn't seen a lot of 80s horror because I didn't grow up on 80s horror. I came to
Right.
that later. And it just like blew my mind. I was like, this movie is so amazing because it's so made for me because it's tribute to old gothic horror movies, but it's like a fun teen movie and it's a
Mhm.
goopy, gooey 80s practical effects monster movie. So it's just so many things I love all in one.
Yeah.
And it's the movie I've like shown other people the most, and it always hits. People always love it every single
It's a great
time.
movie. I
Yeah.
hate when people say, Lost Boys or Fright Night. I was like, "Dude, I can't choose." One is a better movie,
Oh,
but
I
the
can
other is a
choose Fright
cooler
Night.
movie. Lost
Lost Boys
Boys
is a
is
lot of
cooler,
fun. For me, it's
but
not close though. I'm Fright Night all
Fright
the
Night
way.
is so good. It's so good. Um, Dean adds to it. That's how he saw Halloween 1 and 2 on regular network TV. Not until the late '80s, but the TV versions, what I saw, 6 or 7. Yeah. Yeah, that was us, man. We were staying up, Holland giving you some Fright Night love. Yes, I love that movie. Um, just to geek out a little bit as far as being physical media collectors, when that Steelbook came out, I was like, I'm done. I never need another Steelbook after this. This is what I've been waiting for.
That's a great release. I had a like Australian import of it before then. And it had no special features and the transfer was pretty bad. But it was okay for now. But that 4K release is amazing. Absolutely jam-packed with features.
So many features. That
Yeah.
one major feature, with the famous line that
You're so cool, Brewster, the doc.
yeah,
Yeah.
that document, you might as well call it a documentary. It's more than just a feature. It's a documentary on the
Oh yeah,
movie, and it's so good. It's so well made, and
it
then
is.
all the other stuff on there, and it has like I keep wanting to say vintage. It has like older stuff from like the Blu-ray and the DVD on there as well. So I
Yeah,
love
it's jam
I love that
packed.
release. People going back and forth in the chat. Cool. Shout out to birthdays. We got some birthdays this week. I started a new series called Unwrapped based off a suggestion from Nick at Movie AV Impulse. And I think his birthday was either yesterday, today, sometime this week. But happy birthday to you. I know today, Jordana from Pretty Killer Podcast, it's her birthday today. She was on Instagram and she posted something about her birthday, and she asked what your favorite movie was from the year you were born. I'm a 70 kid, so I don't really have a lot of choices. I would say the only one that I saw and I like was either Bird with Crystal Plumage or Mark of the
Mm.
Devil. I just watched that and I was like, oh, instant, love this. Boom, move it up. But what's yours? Like Leprechaun, Jason Goes to Hell?
How do you know my birth year?
I do my research for this. You'll
You
notice
did do your
I
research.
don't I don't
You got it
I
right.
don't ask the same questions to everybody. That's what the 5 takes are for. But
Yeah.
for each guest, I do my research, so I have unique questions. So
So 1993. I mean, it's got to be Jurassic Park because Jurassic Park is like, massive nostalgic favorite, and I do think
mhm,
it's like an incredible movie. But if I want to give a slightly more interesting answer, I would say Joe Dante's Matinee because I absolutely love Matinee. It's one of my favorites. One of my favorite Joe Dante movie, probably.
Ken said, say Jason Goes to Hell.
No, although I do like Jason Goes to Hell. It's the word I rewatched it recently with a buddy of mine, like maybe a few
Mhm,
months ago. And I was like, the word that comes to mind is wacky. That is a wacky movie.
mhm,
Absolutely ridiculous, but
yeah.
lots of fun.
One step away from Jason Goes to Space.
Yeah. I like it better than Jason Goes to Space,
Yeah.
personally.
Um, I'm already, I don't know about you, but like with the channel, I'm always thinking ahead. And once October rolls around, I try to do something that either gets me into rewatching or watching a bunch of horror movies or creepy movies for the month. And I'm already thinking about what I'm doing. And I announced that I'm going to do franchises this
Cool.
year. So I'm probably going to start to like poll people and say, what franchise should I do? Because there's so many, especially if you just think about the horror genre, there's so many franchises because once it makes money, people just keep recycle, recycle, recycle. So I mentioned Leprechaun. I don't think I've seen all the Leprechaun movies. And I know I haven't
Yeah.
seen all the Jason movies since they first came out. Because that
Mm,
used to be like date bait. you know,
right.
take
Yeah.
take a girl to see a Jason movie and have fun kind of thing. But I never bought the box set because I'm not really like he's not like top echelon, but I'm thinking about that one again. So it's funny you mentioned
Hmm.
uh Jason. Jamie adds she was a 70s kid too. Best movie of the year. Oh, you got a good year. You got The Exorcist. Come
Pretty
on.
good. Although
uh
I did a series where I went decade by decade per video, and I said my favorite movie from every year.
yeah.
I can't remember what I said for 74. I don't think I did say The Exorcist.
Mm.
It was something else.
Well,
And
we
now
know
I'm
what
really
75 is going to be,
confused.
but we'll get to the 5 takes soon.
That's true. That's true.
What else? Favorite Spielberg, Jurassic Park, favorite Dante, Inner Space. That's a great movie. I like Inner Space.
I love Inner Space.
Saving Private Ryan for me. Not many great choices that year.
Oh no,
Um,
93 is a good year if you dig into it. I think there's a lot of
yeah,
good stuff.
I was about to say you guys are the same age. So, yeah, but I mean, that's a good choice. So let's just leave it at that.
I did so every year for my birthday, I have friends over and I show movies, whatever
Yeah,
movies I pick. And this most recent year I chose 1993 as the theme. Makes sense. And we watched Demolition Man and Return of the Living Dead 3. And it was so fun. It
I
was a
was
great time.
I actually was going to say that too because I think I watched that in 93 and then not ever since then. So that's definitely one I need to revisit. Also the same with Night of the Demons. I don't remember any of the sequels. I know I've seen them, but I don't remember any of them.
I've
And that,
only seen two. I've seen 1 and 2, but I
yeah,
have the Scream Factory 3. I haven't popped it in yet. I've heard it's bad,
yeah,
but I want to see it for myself, so I'll check it out.
yeah, definitely. Now everyone's popping up with their years. This is fun. Michael is
Yeah,
also Michael says 73. I think it was like right on the border because of I think December 26th. Somebody double check on that. I want to say it was like December 25th, 26th was when Exorcist came out, but
I
double
looked
check
it
the
up.
year for me.
1973 highest grossing movie of 1973 was The Exorcist.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. 82 Baby, Poltergeist.
By the way, okay, I heard Davey say like he's an early 80s baby on a stream, and
Yeah.
I could not believe my ears because he looks my age. I completely assumed we were like the same age, but
Yeah.
you're like in your 40s. I don't know what kind of skincare you're doing. I don't understand how you are
Hey,
in your
if I
40s.
shave this off, I get carded. That's all I gotta
Good for you.
say. Yeah, keep add your years and add your things. This is a conversation and you're part of it. So please keep adding them. 83 Videodrome. I didn't even think about that. Deadly Spawn. Wow. Dean got a good year. Damn you.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. OG Elm Street and Terminator. That's a damn good year. 89. What's good for 89?
Oh, 89 is legit like one of my favorite years. It's great. My choice is The Burbs, so another Joe Dante movie.
Mm-hmm.
But you also got Batman in there. Love
Yeah.
Batman.
Batman 89. I was thinking more just horror movies, but yeah, any of them, just add them in. Nick got 78, so Grease. Grease is a word. Got that. Uh
Frank's favorite movie right there.
25th anniversary of VHS of Exorcist in 98. Yeah, so it makes sense. Um it's Hoodoo. I don't know. Ah, Steve says a few dollars more.
Classy choice.
Nice. It was December, Jamie. Yeah.
Mm.
The only reason I know that is because exactly 1 year minus a day later, we got Abby. And Abby was kinda like a takeoff on The Exorcist. It
Oh
was a
yeah.
blaxploitation movie, except she was
Right.
possessed with, like, sexual possession, and she was just, like, wilding out, and Warner Brothers put the kibosh on that movie. So if you see it, you're not gonna see a nice clear version of it. You're gonna see, like, the bootleg of the bootleg of the bootleg, and it's never had a physical release past I wanna say there were some DVDs released, but Warner Brothers shut that down.
Mm. I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Yeah. Michael's also 84, Once Upon a Time in America. Mm,
Classy choice.
very, very. Yeah, and Kenny's turning 40 this year, this October. Best year for horror in the 80s. Return of the Living Dead, Silver Bullet. 84 and 85, I would argue. Both of those years were really good years for just movies in general.
85 is Fright Night, so
What's up,
obviously my
Tuesday?
choice.
You guys like Three the Hard Way? Jim Kelly is the man.
Oh, I've heard that's good. I
Yeah,
haven't, but yeah, I've heard great things
yeah.
about it.
West Virginian brings up Asylum or Horror Express. Thanks for popping up.
Asylum. I've never gotten that into Horror Express. I think it's pretty good. It's like it's a Spanish film, but it's got Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee
Mm-hmm.
and Telly Savalas, which is cool.
Ooh,
And
Kojak.
it's pretty good, but Asylum definitely for me.
Yeah. 92, Batman Returns. Solid.
Great movie.
Solid. I just watched that. I kind of did away with the traditional Christmas movies for the most part. I still had to get Elf in there, but I
Sure.
watch non-Christmas Christmas movies. So of
Love
course
it.
your Die Hards, Batman Returns, Sean Baker's Tangerine, low key. People don't know it's a Christmas movie, and Long Kiss Goodnight, which just got an announcement.
Oh
Can't wait!
yeah.
Can't wait to
Let
grab
me
that.
let me tell you a great non-Christmas Christmas movie I discovered this past December. Have you seen The Silent Partner?
No,
So good. It's from the 70s. It's starring Elliot Gould and Christopher Plummer. And
yeah,
Christopher Plummer is a bank robber who dresses up like Santa Claus and holds up the bank where Elliot Gould is working. It is
nice.
this amazing thriller. And I have the Kino Lorber Blu-ray, but it's about to get a 4K from Kino. So
Oh, give me
might
a
enjoy
moment.
watching it that way.
I am adding it to If I don't write it down and put it in my letterbox, I will forget. So,
Yeah, I hear you.
Silent Partner,
Yeah, The Silent Partner.
78. Yeah,
Hmm.
Elliot Gould. Put it on the
Yeah,
watch
very
list.
intense, very fun.
It is on the watch list. Thank you, my man.
Sure thing.
Uh Night of the Living Dead's, yeah, I love that movie. It's so funny.
Yeah, me too.
Great. I don't know how people find a way to not like Returns. I don't know. I think those first two movies are really good, and then the second two are questionable for me. For me, at least.
Questionable is the word. I
Like,
like Batman Forever, even though it's got a bazillion problems. But yeah,
yeah,
Batman and Robin.
Batman and
Batman and
Robin.
Robin's it's getting a resurgence now, and I can't get behind it.
Me either. I remember renting that, and I started watching. I just went right home and I started watching it, and it was so ridiculous. I took out the tape, I hit eject, and I took it out, and I went back, and I was like, "I want my money back." Like, with the deepest, most authoritative, like, say it with my chest moment, and it was like, "Just pick something else. Everybody else is complaining too." I was like,
Yeah.
"Thought so." I was like, "Thank you. Thank you."
I tried to rewatch it not long ago, and my big takeaway was it is so boring.
Mm,
Like it's ridiculous and crazy, but it's incredibly boring. And
yeah.
like every actor delivers every line the exact same way. Like no one has even thought about what any lines
They're there for
mean.
the check, man.
It's
They are
crazy.
there for the check. Can't even say the
Yeah.
legacy because some more people checking in. Nightmare, great, 84. Um, yeah, Batman Forever. I don't know about fun.
I
We'll,
like
we'll re-
Batman Forever. I actually really like Chris O'Donnell in it. I think he's actually really good in it.
yeah, I wish they would have did a spinoff with him. Forever is where the decline starts. Batman and Robin goes full ridiculous. True that. True, true, true. Kilmer was great in that role. I'll give
Yeah.
him that. I will
The
give
thing
him
that
that.
Batman Forever works because the Batman Robin stuff is played seriously and it's
Hmm.
good, but it's the villains who are ridiculous. But
Yeah.
then in Batman and Robin, they just make everyone ridiculous and it really doesn't work.
There's a difference between being comic book goofy and being like 60s Batman TV show goofy, and they cross that line.
Yeah. Plus, the 60s show is actually funny. Like, it actually
Yeah,
has good
because
jokes.
it's campy, and it knows
And
it's
Batman and Robin
campy.
isn't funny. Like, there aren't any
No,
good jokes in there.
but the villains try to play up that way. This is
Mhm.
very true. Those 4Ks are super colorful,
I could see that.
super colorful. This credit card in the bat nips.
Never leave the cave
Ooh.
without it.
I think that's not even a hot take. Best Bruce Wayne Batman?
It's a little bit of a hot take. I don't think
Because
it's
of the movies that
crazy,
followed,
but it's a
I
hot
would say,
take.
because of the movies that followed, and Jamie likes the bat nips, so we had to put that up there. Um, so back to Horror Express, fan for just the cast and their performance. The story is eyebrow raising. Yeah, Cushing and Lee cause you to buy into the weirdness. Cushing especially, and also Plummer, they always do. Those two always get you to buy into whatever's going on, whatever character they're playing.
Yeah,
Something about they just carry. They have scene presence, and it just
absolutely.
carries through to whatever they're doing.
That's one thing I love about Hammer movies is even if the story is ridiculous or there's ridiculous special effects or something, usually I think special effects are pretty good in them. But even if so, the actors always take them very seriously. They're
Hmm.
always treating it like we're making a real legit film here.
Yeah,
And there tends to be really good dialogue too. And you can't say that about all campy old horror movies, but you pretty much always can about the Hammer ones.
yeah, so true, so true. I want to look up something. One moment here, but I have one more question for you before we get to the five takes. Yeah. So, talking about taking a role seriously, if you ever seen Blackula,
Oh,
the
heck
black
yeah.
exploitation horror movie, and what was his name? William Marshall,
Yeah.
Shakespearean actor. So
He's
he's taking a
great in
role
it.
seriously, not realizing, dude, you're in a black exploitation movie, albeit a horror movie, but you're not doing Hammer here. You're not like Cushing doing a role here, but he
I
took
think
that
Black
role
Widow
too
as a
serious.
whole is a pretty legit
Hmm.
vampire movie. The only thing I don't so much like about it is the score, because the score is very 70s funk, which I
Yeah,
just don't think fits when like
it didn't
everything else
fit
is pretty
because
classy.
especially the way the movie opens, it's almost like leaning into the gothic, and then all of
Hmm.
a sudden it's like, well, we're in the '70s now, so we're gonna have a '70s score. And not to say that something else would have like. I think it just needed to be a little more neutral because it definitely timed it. But
Hmm.
hello, Paula. Thanks for joining us tonight. So I have one more question before we get to the five takes. And as I mentioned to you, I like to do my research. So because I remember this movie, and I think I actually, no, I saw it on VHS. I didn't see it in the movies. But did you finally get around to seeing 1985's The Bride?
Yes, I did. Yeah,
What do you think?
I did a video on my top 15 Frankenstein movies and I put it on there. I liked it. I thought it was interesting that it is absolutely not a horror movie. Like
Mm-mm.
they very much just said like it's it feels like it takes place right after Bride of Frankenstein ends, and it's like we're just going to tell a drama about these characters.
Yeah. It's
And I thought that
it's
was
like
really interesting.
neo-Gothic in a way.
Hmm. Yeah, and Clancy Brown as the monster is fantastic. You really
Mm.
care about him. I can't remember the actress who plays the bride, but she's also in Vampire's
Jennifer Beals.
Kiss.
Was it
Yes,
Jennifer Beals?
she's great in it.
Yeah.
Sting as Dr. Frankenstein, weird casting.
Left of center.
He's not of the acting caliber of the rest of the cast, I don't think.
Mm-mm.
And it's interesting that they make him so repulsively evil. Like it's crazy how evil he is. I think it works for the most part. I do think he's the weakest part of the movie, but
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I liked it.
Nice. All right. You ready for the five takes?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Five takes. The five questions I ask at the end of every conversation to each and every one of my guests. We start off the way we always do with number one. Name the film that made you fall in love with the movies.
So I took the seriously, and that
Hmm.
like we're talking about going to the movie theater because I didn't want to grab Universal Monsters because we talked about that. So it's not the first movie that I saw in the movie theater according to my parents, but it's the first one I remember, and that is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man in 2002. So I was about 9 years old. And I remember seeing a TV spot for it on TV, like during cartoons or whatever.
Yeah.
And my brother and I were watching it like, oh my gosh, this looks amazing. And then it revealed it was PG-13. And we were like, we're not going to be able to see it. We were like devastated. And
Yeah.
then I remember that night, my dad came home from work and he was like, I found out about this new Spider-Man movie. I want to take you guys. And we were like, oh my gosh. So we got to go. My dad took us. And it was like a life-changing experience. We loved it so much. And those first two Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, the first two in particular, were like so important to me as a kid.
Yeah.
And they're still my favorite superhero movies overall to this day. I just love them.
Yeah. I could tell you, we really thought we're not getting anything better than this. We're coming off of things like the '70s movies and all that. And then all of a sudden we get this. We're like, whoa, this is the
Yeah.
Evil Dead guy doing a superhero movie and it's badass. This is
That's
great.
right, it is.
Oh my gosh. And it looked like Spidey looked in the comic books. So it really brought
Mhm.
it home. And honestly, and then two came along and it was even better. And we can forecast the MCU and all the stuff that followed from there, but that was as good as it got to us, man. And of course,
Mhm.
quick side story. So the whole thing with the Twin Towers and when that movie came out and all that, and the teaser trailer that showed the
Mm.
robbers in the web between the two towers,
Yeah.
and then they took the trailer down. Of course, you could still find it on YouTube. And there was this teaser trailer with him swinging by the Twin Towers. And I, I know someone who has it. It is worth thousands of dollars because it was something that was pulled. It's like I have a reprint of Revenge of the Jedi, not Return.
Oh, yeah.
And the original of that is worth thousands of dollars. So little things like that you just remember with the time. It's great. Num-
Hmm.
Number two, name five of your favorite films.
Okay. So I struggled with this a little bit at first because I didn't want to pick my actual top five because I've going through my top five on other streams and I wanted to switch it up. So I was like, well, what do I pick? And then I thought, you know what? It's almost Valentine's Day. I'm going to theme my five off Valentine's Day. We're going to talk
Sweet.
about some Valentine's, some love, some romance. But we're going to start off with My Bloody Valentine from 1981, which is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I remember I first watched it on Tubi. It was the first place I saw it. And like I was so blown away by it because I was surprised like just how gory it was, because 80s horror movies have like a lot of a reputation for being gory, but when you compare the movies today, they're not that gory. But My Bloody Valentine kind of is. And I loved the characters so much. And then when I got this Scream Factory Blu-ray, this was like a miracle release because it actually has it's the uncut version. So it's got all the extra gore and they restored it looking really, really good. And it just blew me away even more. Like I just love the characters. I love how blue collar it feels. Um, it's so fun. I just love this movie so much.
Nice.
Now just keep going.
Yeah, keep
All
going.
right. So I'm gonna go with The Mask of Zorro, which
Ooh,
is another one of my obsessions with movies is I love swashbucklers. So I love like period pieces about an adventuring guy with a sword fighting tyrannical people and fall in love with a beautiful woman. I just love those. Robin Hood, and this is like maybe the best one. This is one that I loved so much as a kid, and I do love the romance between Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. But it's just an incredible just action adventure film with insanely charismatic movie stars, and it's directed by Martin Campbell, who also made Casino Royale, which I think is the best Bond movie. So
ooh.
super good, underrated director. Next, let's go old school. I hope really old movies is still in here. He'll get happy. So this is my favorite old school screwball comedy, and that is The Lady Eve.
Good
So I
one.
got a Criterion in here. You're a Criterion guy, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this movie is a Preston Sturges film, who is actually one of the original like writer director auteurs, because in this
Hmm.
time period pretty much writers and directors were separate, but he wrote a movie and was like, if I'm you can have this for free if you let me direct it, and he became like one of the big writer directors at the time. But it's an insanely funny movie about Barbara Stanwyck, who's a con artist, and Henry Fonda is this hapless, incredibly naive rich guy, and it's so fun to watch Henry Fonda in that
Hmm.
mode. And he falls for her, but then he finds out that she's a con artist, and he kicks her to the curb. And the way she gets revenge on him is so ridiculous and so funny. I love it. Do you like this movie? Have you seen
Yeah,
it?
I do. And the thing
Yeah,
is, the way they play it is that Fonda is like he's still drawn to her.
yeah, for sure. I mean, she's Barbara Stanwyck, and
I
she's like
know.
so sexy in this movie.
She's so gorgeous, and it's like he's spurned, but at the same time, he's like, still want her back, still want her back.
Yeah.
It's great.
There it's a little bit of a dirty movie for the time too, because like there's some innuendo, and
Hmm.
there's this scene where like he's laying on the floor and it's this the picture, and he's like kind of
Yeah,
got his feet against her, and the way he plays it just feels like he has an erection, and he's just like kind of trying to hide it or something. Like it's so funny.
Jack Lemmon does that pretty well too. It's kind of like
That's true.
the body language that plays up the comedy more than anything else. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah. Another old school romantic comedy. So another one of my weird little pockets of cinema that I love is the 1960s sex comedy. And this is one of my favorites. This is Come September. So
Hmm.
these 60s sex comedies are so fun because there's just some of the most visually beautiful movies you'll ever see in your life. Like they're
Yeah.
so insanely colorful. They tend to take place at beautiful locations, starring just beautiful people. This one's starring Rock Hudson and Gina Lola Brigida, who actually just passed away. And Rock Hudson is this rich guy who comes to this like vacation house he owns every September, and he stays the month, and she's like his September girl who he has around at that time.
Hmm.
But he comes back on a different month, and he finds out that his butler who keeps the house has been like renting it out like a hotel, so he's kind of using it like an Airbnb. So there
Yeah.
are all these college girls staying in his house. Sandra D is one of them, and then there are all these college guys hanging around trying to get with those girls, and Bobby Darin is the main one of them. Bobby Darin was my choice of song for your post about
That's
this.
right, Mac the
Um,
Knife.
And it's just zany and hilarious and sexy, and it's so fun. I love it so much. This is a Kino Lorber Blue, by the way.
Nice. Something to catch on the next sale if you're looking for that little bit more to get you free shipping. There you go. That's a good
That's
one right
right. Yeah, Ken, if you're still here, I know you just love to blind buy Kinos in those sales. You got to get this one.
there. Hey, he didn't. I'm sure he didn't get that one for free, so you could catch that in the backlog, Kenny.
That's right. By the way, congratulations on your partnership, Ken. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, whoa, whoa,
So
whoa, 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 whoa! I got to throw it up.
the man, what's
What
up,
up,
dude?
G? Wanted to pop in before bed, early morning. Catch you both in March. Yes, he means he's coming to Panic Fest. By chance, can we get you to come over maybe just for a
I think
Saturday, catch
so.
a couple movies?
I think so. That's my plan. Because I was thinking about like, doing the fest. And then I looked at the ticket price and I was like,
It's a
can't do that.
commitment.
That's the price of a Nightmare on Elm Street
It's a
4K box
commitment.
set right there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And G,
my
hope
buddy
you feel
Chris, he
better.
lives right by me now. So we're thinking we might drive over there on Saturday, just
Yeah.
try to get tickets to a couple movies and see people. So I think
Yeah,
we're going to do it.
definitely. I
Not
mean,
much reason not to.
the individual tickets for the day, they usually don't sell out because the passes don't sell out. So if you get in there in the morning and you just buy like you see the schedule and you're like, I'm gonna see this, and this, and you just pop like say like 70, $60, whatever it is, and then you have your movies for the day. And Saturday is when
Okay.
we get the retros. Saturday is well, I met her on Friday, but Saturday is when we spent the day with Barbara Crampton 2 years ago.
Man, that'd be amazing.
Last
I
year
love
was
her.
when I met Heather Langenkamp and she signed my Elm Street sign. And I met
Ooh.
Eduardo Sanchez and Michael C. Williams from Blair Witch. And he told me all about how this British company is doing a 4K or a Blu-ray release of Blair Witch, Second Sight. And, so it's a great time to meet people without going to a con and paying for them to like breathe in your direction. So if you're going to come any day, come
Yeah.
Saturday. Come Saturday.
Cool.
And I hope
Well, it
you
works
feel
out for
better,
me.
G. He was sick there for a while, so hope you're
Oh
better.
yeah, I heard him talking about that.
Yeah, continue, please. Not to interrupt your.
Okay. No, it's all good. Last one. So I wanted to go with a romantic vampire movie. So I went with Dracula 1979, starring Frank
Ah,
Langella.
yeah,
Um, I don't like it quite as much as the Coppola Dracula, but I wanted to pick this one because one, I think it should be talked about more. And
I
two,
agree.
I do think it works a little more as a romance. It is a little more of a romantic film. And it's interesting to think about when it came out because it came out not long after the Hammer series ended. And in the Hammer series, Dracula is like practically Michael Myers. So to
Yeah,
like go so far away from that and make him like handsome and charming and have like a legitimate romance in there is very interesting. And I love it. I think it's a beautiful movie. I think the actors are so great. And this is kind of another miracle release for Scream Factory because the director changed the movie for physical media after it came out and he desaturated the color a lot. So it's practically black and white, even though it was a
mm,
beautiful, bright color film and it was released. And the Scream Factory restores the original version so you get both. So you can watch it either way. And that's a really
yeah,
cool
and it's
thing
nice to
about it.
see that with the slip too.
That's
Very
right.
nice.
Yeah, but I do love the original poster. And
Yeah,
actually, I've looked, this one sheet is not expensive on eBay these days. So I'm like, maybe I want one of those. I've
I
thought
remember
about it.
seeing that in Times Square just to
Oh,
go
yeah.
back. That was like the big thing
Oh, that's
was like
cool.
for them to put up like big movie posters there. Let me pop on some of these comments. I know I flashed some of them up already. Masters are underrated. Yep, I agree. And then Frank said a little love for Miss Zeta Jones.
She's
Uh,
pretty.
she's very pretty. And also in that movie, what was that one with oh, what was the one that she did? All I can remember, and this is totally sexist, but when she was going under the laser beams.
Oh,
Can't
isn't
remember.
that Entrapment?
Yes.
I haven't
Yes.
seen it, but I'm familiar with the
You
scene.
remember the trailer then. Yes, Jamie, save your top 5 for when you're coming on the conversation. That'll be awesome. Can't wait to have that chat with you. Frank, who's already been on, has given us his top 5 for tonight. Goodfellas, still up there. Candyman, good choice. Rest in peace to Mr. Todd. Dark City, I've put so many people onto that movie because it's just quirky enough that people don't know about it, and when they watch it, they're like, "What did I just watch?
You better
Alien?"
put me onto it, man.
Oh, you don't know
And
about Dark City?
I've heard of it, of course. I have not seen it. I haven't seen two movies in Frank's Five. I've not seen Dark City, and I've not seen Fifth Element.
Okay. Fifth Element you could get. That's just sci-fi. Some people love it, some people hate it. But I would say both of them are definitely worth checking out. But Dark City is like this dystopian sci-fi movie that I can't even explain it too much, but it's a weird but very interesting watch, and I have a weird connection with it that I went to the theater and I lost my wallet. I had the DVD and it was lost or stolen. I had a Blu-ray copy, lost. My film
Wow.
professor gave me his copy, lost. I ended up finding the original DVD, so now I only have Dark City on DVD.
Interesting.
So it's a movie
Wow.
where I keep losing things, including
It's
its
a cursed film. Severin, do an episode about it. Not Severin, Shudder.
Yeah, put it on that show, which they need another season of curse films. I like that thing. People responding. Brett Madison says, I hope you review Curse of the Devil, Vampires, Night
I'm
Orgy,
excited.
Demon Witch Child. Also fun. I
That's
recently I watched that one last year, Demon Witch Child.
I saw it at an all-night horror marathon I went to a couple of years ago, and it
Mhm.
was the most hideous film print in existence. It was like all pink and scratched, like it looked like garbage. But like it's a crazy movie. But they said at that screening a boutique label was working on it. So I was not
Hmm.
too surprised when Vinegar Syndrome announced that it was in that 3-pack. But yeah, I'm so excited for that 3-pack because I want to see Demon Witch Child looking good. I love Curse of the Devil. And I put out a video like 2 weeks before that announcement, and I was like, Curse of the Devil has got to get a good release. And then
Yeah,
Vinegar Syndrome announced it. And Vampire's Night Orgy, I'm excited for. I've not seen it, but I like the director, so I'm really excited.
yeah. I didn't even look to pick that up. I haven't made a VS order in a while. There are some other movies that I want to that they just announced or just came out with. Jamie
Mm.
also saw Dark City in the theater. Hope he didn't lose anything. Huck, what's up, Huckster?
You know,
Popping in to say hey. Frank says you will love Dark City.
probably.
I remember this. Roger Ebert gave it a stunning review. So for what that's worth, best to go into Dark City blind. There you go. I can tell you about it. Shares set pieces with the Matrix. So, what's rumored to get a 4K this year? If you
Probably
say
Dark
Dark
City.
City is supposed to get a 4K, I will buy that and I will like keep it in like a lock case or something.
He's
I'm
probably talking
tired
about
of
Demon
losing that
Witch
movie.
Child, right, Frank? Demon Witch Child on 4K.
If it's that, that's something else. But if it's Dark City, I this will be the fourth time I'm buying it, and the fifth one that I own. So go figure. Go figure. Let's continue on. Did we get all five? Yes, I think we did.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's favorite question. Number 3. Name a popular classic movie that everybody loves, but you don't particularly like it.
Okay, this is fun. So I'm not going with like a mainstream classic. I
Okay.
figure, KB is a classy guy. I'm gonna go with like a classy cinephile favorite
Oh,
that I
geez.
watched a couple of years ago or so and really did not like, and that is Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love. Yes, could not
Okay.
stand this movie.
I've had people come on here and tell me they hate The Godfather. I had one person tell me they hate Back to the Future. You'll never see that episode.
Whoa.
They
Delete.
may or may not be with us anymore. I've never heard someone say they don't like In the Mood for Love.
Yeah, people love this movie. To me, it was like it's like if there was like a sketch comedy version of a pretentious film bro movie, it would be In the Mood for Love because it's
Ah,
like montage after montage after montage of people
yeah.
looking sad, standing around smoking. And I was just like, oh my God, when we're on like the 7th time where people stand around smoking to a song and it's getting montaged, it was driving me crazy. And
Oh
then
my
also,
god.
I just could not buy into the story because you got these people all sad that they can't be together. And by like halfway through the movie, their spouses have left them for other people. And I'm like, you're both free. Like your old spouses are off with other people now. Like just get together. And they just
Mhm.
don't do it. And the movie ends and they're all depressed. And and I'm just like, why?
Did you
It
catch the
drove me
reference
crazy.
in Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Probably not. I think I saw Everything Everywhere once first. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I did.
Yeah, when I was in the theater and I saw that, I was like, okay, this is how much I love that movie. I have like certain like tragic romantic movies, All That Heaven Allows, melodrama kind of stuff,
I do love All the Heaven Allows.
and Eternal Sunshine's another big one for me. When Criterion put it out on Blu-ray, it was the standard footage. When they released the Wong Kar-wai box set, and then also the 4K, they put it with color correction that made it look like The Matrix, just like green overtone. It just looks like somebody just poured a bucket of slime over the film negative. I went and I sought out the no longer available, discontinued original Criterion Blu-ray just to get that version.
Oh wow.
And it so happened to be like during like I want to say like the July or November sale, one of them, but I love that movie. But to each their own.
I will say I gave Wong Kar Wai another chance and I watched Chungking Express and I liked it a lot.
Okay. So it was
It was
just
good.
that individual movie.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get it.
I'm not writing off the filmmaker as a whole.
No, 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 no. No, no, no. Let's see what they're saying in the chat. Someone hit me up with something fun. Oh, 8.5 was a hard pass for him. I just got the Fellini set last November. I gotta start going through that.
I've never seen
So
it.
I still need to see In the Mood for Love, or do I? Yes, you do, because you will make your own individual decision. That's what you
Everybody likes it but me, so you've got a pretty good chance.
do. Oh man. Let's flip that around and go to number 4. Name a critically hated movie that you love.
I struggle with this one a little bit. This one was critically hated when it came out a
Mhm.
few years ago, but it seems like the reevaluation's already happening.
Yeah.
But I went with Hellfest from 2018,
I don't think I've
which is
seen that.
yeah, it's a slasher movie that takes place like at a Halloween haunted theme park. And I went to see it in theaters like opening weekend because I was really excited for this because
Mhm.
I thought I'm all alone. I don't know what happened to KB. I was
No,
really
I'm here.
excited for this
I'm giving
because
you a full
I
screen for this. I wanted to see the physical media.
oh, okay, cool. I love slasher movies. And at this time, 2018, you didn't get a lot of theatrical slashers. It was a lot of paranormal stuff and ghosts and such. This was a little bit before David Gordon Green's Halloween came out, and that kind of resurged theatrical slashers. But I went to see it and I loved it so much. I brought my wife to go see it again the same weekend. So I saw it twice opening weekend. Huge fan. But it got horrible reviews. And like I said, I listened to a lot of horror movie podcasts, pretty much nothing but scathing reviews on every podcast I ever listened to about how bad it is. But I think the kills are really good. I think the atmosphere at a Halloween haunted theme park is great. It looks so
Yeah.
good. I actually really like the characters, and the characters got ripped by most people. I like them. I think they're fun and interesting. My wife loves it too, so this is a Halloween
Hmm.
favorite for us. But the tide's already turning, I've noticed, and some people are like, you know
Nice,
what, Hellfest actually pretty good. So
nice. That
yeah,
makes me ask, how do you feel about the Hell House movies?
you know what's weird, and Frank's gonna kill me for this because
Uh-oh.
he just did a video praising it.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen it. I don't remember it, but I've seen it. I know I had, but like
Uh-huh.
it just didn't really stick with me. But I'm not the biggest found footage guy, but I do want to revisit it, give it another chance. And I haven't seen any of the sequels, so I'm interested in checking out the sequels.
Yeah. I saw that box set, and I absolutely love the first one. It's hard, and you probably suffer with this too. You kind of get desensitized to things.
Oh
Like
yeah,
jump scares piss me off at this point because it's like
I still like jump scares.
it's
I think
it's
they're
like
fun.
that's how you're trying to scare me. It's like, no, make me feel creeped out. That's how I get scared. Or my favorite subgenre, because it could actually happen, is home invasion.
Hmm.
Like show me something that could really happen to me. That's probably why I love Hush. I just watched that for the first time last month, and I've already made videos,
You saw
like
what last month?
Hush.
Oh, Hush. Yeah, Hush is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's like you get desensitized to things. So it's almost like when I see something that creeps me out, like the first time I watched Hell House, I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. I want to feel something. And that definitely made me feel something for sure.
Dude, I actually just had that experience maybe like a week or so ago. I got legit scared by a movie watching it in my basement. I have it right here just because I just watched it. And that is Session 9.
Yes.
This movie scared the hell out of me. And like I was
Yes.
alone in my basement watching it. And when it ended, I could not turn off the TV and the lights fast enough and run
Uh-huh.
upstairs. I
Uh-huh.
was like, this thing is so scary.
And you know it's bad when you rewatch something and it does it to you again. Like for
Mm-hmm.
me, the first time I saw Sinister, I was like, what
Oh
is
yeah.
going on here? And then I rewatch it again. Not so much the figure, but just the presence, the evil presence. And I was like, yeah. It's like
The
creep.
lawnmower.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary.
Um yeah, I did that on purpose. The beach, that's a good one. I remember I went to a party and they had like TBS or TNT on in the background and they kept showing the beach. It was kind of like Christmas Story on Christmas Eve, just 24 hours of the beach. They just kept showing it over and over again.
I don't know what the beach is.
I
It's a
want to
movie?
say that it's a Leo movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
2000.
Danny
Leonardo
Boyle.
DiCaprio. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a Danny Boyle movie, and Alex Garland. Yeah, did the novel.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah. Hellfest is awesome. I watch it every October. I'm gonna have to check it
Nice.
out.
That's great.
Check it out. Stacy's in the chat. Hello, hello. Um, favorite Gene Hackman movie. Funny enough, I'm doing a 52-week challenge with Hawk, and that is this week's thing. And I'm trying to tie it in with
Mm,
Oscar watching movies, but I've got me. I've seen everything that he's been nominated for or won that's available. So I think he won for Unforgiven and he won for French Connection. I've seen them both.
mm.
So
I think I'd go Crimson Tide.
that's a good one.
Love Crimson Tide. It's my favorite Tony Scott movie.
I'm up there with Unforgiven. It's probably one of my favorite Eastwood movies, but him as
Yeah.
the baddie in that movie is just kick ass.
That movie was cool for me because before I saw Unforgiven, the only thing I'd seen Gene Hackman in was the Superman movies, where he's really goofy. And then I
Yeah.
saw Unforgiven, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's like an actor. Like he's a good actor." I thought he was so great in that. And yeah, I've seen him in a lot of movies since then. I love him in everything. He's awesome. Love him in Royal Tenenbaums too.
Yes, I love that movie. That was my first Criterion.
Good choice. That's my
Yeah.
favorite Wes
I
Anderson for
I
sure.
didn't know what it was, but within months I had both Chasing Amy and the Beastie Boys video essays.
Nice.
Ken says I saw Hellfest on my birthday in the theater, enjoyed it then, and thought the
Cool.
ending was perfect for multiple sequels. Huh.
See, Ken, you should have been on these horror podcasts and defended it.
Stacy with the questions. Best movie that takes place in close quarters. 12 Angry Men for me.
Oh, that's hard to beat. Yeah, and you could throw Session 9 in there. It's kind of
Hmm.
fits that too.
Damn, you're making me want to watch. I just watched that this past October. Making
Oh,
me want to
nice.
watch that again. That was
Yeah.
creepy as all get out. Dean, I'm all in on Hell House. They're local to me, shot 90 minutes from where I live, bro. Is it real? Love all the Hell House flicks, and those clowns get increasingly creepy. I'm gonna get that box set. I'm gonna try to find it.
Yeah, I
And
was tempted by it too, just because I was like, well, I want to watch all these movies. So
yeah, glad you enjoyed session 9. Session 9 is spooky. Yeah, has good atmosphere. It does. Dell adds, jump scares can be an effective tool. Too many movies mistake their temporary jolt for real horror and rely on them. Very true. Like, I think the last theatrical movie that I would say relied on it, but there was more to the story, was the first chapter of It. because it was like
Oh yeah.
jump scare, we laughed, and then we were on to the next scene. It was almost like at the end of every scene, and but it was used for effect, but it wasn't the story. It
Yeah,
wasn't the
and
whole story.
my also reply to that would be I don't need every horror movie to have like real horror. And like a lot of times I'm happy if a horror movie is just fun. And I
Mhm.
often find jump scares can be fun. But I will say, while I agree It Chapter 1 is a good example of jump scares, It Chapter 2 is a bad example of jump scares because that
Yeah,
is just like 3 hours of it over and over and it gets so boring.
and I still wanted Amy Adams to play the grown up Beverly, but maybe that's just me.
She would have been good. I like that actress. I'm blanking on her name right now, but
Mhm.
I like her.
Good choice here. Talking about Hackman, Quick and the Dead. I just read an article about Sharon Stone, and she was saying that she was so demanding on that movie that she feels like that torpedoed her career because she was deemed as difficult to work with. Meanwhile, she
Mm.
was just trying to get people their money. So,
Women get that label pretty quickly in
yeah,
Hollywood often.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
First criterion is Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. Ooh, Roger Ebert shows up again in this conversation.
Mine was, I think, a pretty common one is Videodrome. I've heard a lot of people say that.
Yeah, a lot of people started off that way. I have not seen Companion. I was supposed to see it Thursday, then I was supposed to see it Friday. I was under the weather, and I'll probably try to see it sometime this week.
I did see Companion.
I heard just go into it like Jamie was saying about Dark City, just try to go into it as blind as possible, and it's enjoyable.
I liked it. I will say I didn't watch the second trailer, but the twist to it I thought was pretty obvious. So like when I heard there was a big twist, I thought, yeah, it's probably this based on the title and the poster and everything. And I went in the movie and like from a very early point, I was like, yeah, it's that, and it is. But it's a good version of it. It's fun.
Yeah, and it sounds bad, but I don't expect much during January and February as far as like anything to do with the thriller, suspense, horror genres. So
Mm-hmm.
if I get a halfway decent movie, I'm okay with it. I know
It's
the
beyond
big
halfway
bangers are
decent.
coming out in second quarter and on. So
Yeah. You'll be happy with it then. It's definitely better than halfway decent.
so the funny thing is people sometimes ask me, so how long will this be? Like how long do you need me? You didn't ask me that, and this has to
No,
be probably one of the longest ones that I've had in recent times. So before
it's
we
because
get
I
to
can't shut up.
no, hey, we're both loquacious. Keep it at that.
Oh, it's a good word. I like
Oh
it.
yeah, I don't say I just talk too much. I'm loquacious. I love it, and we're talking movies. What's better than that? What's better than that? But before we get to 5, I do wanna thank you again for coming on. This I knew it was gonna be fun, so I'm glad that you did. Um, one more comment here. I don't think they spoiled Companion as much as they let you know that the premise was of the movie, kinda like Abigail. Yeah, I
I'm
wish
with you,
they would have
dude.
kept Abigail, like, at least a secret for the first weekend, and then let you go to the movie and find out, you know.
I kind of I disagree with that because the way what I think of when people say, "Oh, the trailer's Abigail shouldn't have spoiled that it's a vampire movie," I think, what the hell would the trailer be then? It would just be people standing around talking. It would look like a Quentin Tarantino ripoff or something,
But
and
if
like
you saw, like,
you
bodies
wouldn't
being
even know you're
dragged
supposed to
and
see
all
it.
that, just the way they edit trailers these days, you and the funniest thing is there's, like, trailers out there for, like, family movies made into horror movies and all that. You can make a trailer be almost anything. But if you were to see certain scenes where people are being killed or, getting scared or bodies being dragged, but you didn't know why, and you just saw this little ballerina, there's intrigue. Something about intrigue could sell a movie. I don't know.
Just that's a good point. I will say though, as a person who doesn't go to the movies all the time, I went to Abigail because it was a vampire movie, and if I didn't know it
Okay.
was a vampire movie,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
may not have gone. And I think
Hmm.
that's probably what they're worried about. But it did make a lot of money anyway, so
Yeah.
it didn't
I
work.
I enjoyed it. I still enjoyed
Yeah, I
it,
liked it a lot.
you know. Um Paula, if you catch a replay, that was the very first thing that we started out talking about, wearing the shirt and everything. So, yeah, definitely any of you who came in late, once again, welcome. But catch a replay. This was a great conversation. So, you definitely want to catch all of it from the beginning. Everyone's saying loved Abigail. Cool. Um, let's land this plane, man. Don't want to keep you too much longer. So let's see, get this out of the way. So finally, number 5. Now that you've been through it, you've been on the conversation. Who would you like to see me? And you've seen a lot of them too. So who would
Mhm.
you like to see me have a conversation with on this channel?
Have you ever talked to Nathan Jones? No, just kidding. So I actually
Yeah,
have a
right
weird
here
one.
in my basement.
That'd be funny if he popped out. Hey guys,
Yeah. Hi.
right there.
New glasses.
No, I have a weird one because he's not a YouTuber. But my pick is Anthony King.
Hmm.
He is the host of the Cult Movies podcast, which is an incredible podcast for like big film nerds. I've guested on it several times, so he's become like a good friend of mine. His podcast has been on hiatus for a little bit, but it's about to come back. But he does know your mutual friend Ryan, and he's guested on the Disconnected. And Ryan was actually just on his comeback episode of Cult Movies podcast. But he's so funny and he's so smart. He's such a great guy, so I think he'd be a very interesting guest.
I would like that. It's not just YouTubers, it's not just physical media collectors. I really like to expand. Like I was looking back on my playlist of people, and this lady that I met in DVD Talk Forum, God, 15 years ago, I was like, would you like to come to my YouTube channel? She's like, sure. And it was just pleasant. It was a breath of fresh air as far as like having different, I don't know, just like a different perspective. And I couldn't really geek out about, like this 4K transfer or something like that. She's
Yeah.
just movies, you know,
Yeah.
or
That's
somebody
nice.
who just streams or somebody who just goes to the movies constantly. It's always different. But the thing that I love that we have in common is we love movies. That's what it's all about. That's truly what
Mm-hmm.
it's all about. So
Amen, bro.
once again, last comments here. Thank you everyone who's been in the chat and contributing, keeping the conversation going there. I wish we would go back to basing trailers off intrigue and curiosity instead of giving us 80% of the movie away, leaving filler for the theaters.
Trailers have
There's
kind
a,
of always done that, though. Especially if you go
yeah,
back to like the 1950s, there's a narrator explaining the whole plot in like every
yeah,
trailer.
and I think that's I'm going to bring up Hitchcock again. That's one of the things that people didn't like about it, but it also gave intrigue because he wouldn't show any of the movie. He would just
Yeah, Hitchcock
come
could get
and
away with
talk
that.
about it, and then you would want to see it because you don't know what the hell it's going to be about, but you're interested. There's intrigue
Yeah,
there, like he said.
Hitchcock could do it because he was like maybe the first celebrity director for people to see a movie just because of him. The one
Yeah,
guy today who could do that is Christopher Nolan. He could literally sit in front of a camera and say, "I have a new movie, come see it," and it would
yeah,
make money. You know?
yeah. But then we have so many avenues. People will find out something. Oh, it's based on American Prometheus. Oh, okay. So people will find out something.
Like if Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein hid that it was a Frankenstein movie, it's based on the
Yeah.
modern Prometheus.
I'm glad they showed it. It made me go, what the heck is going on there? I won't watch any more of the trailers now. Yeah, I mean, there are a couple examples where trailers misled us. I would say Trap had a better trailer than movie. Speak No Evil, maybe because it was so close to the original that I felt they gave away everything in the trailers. Plus, we saw those trailers for damn near 3.5 months, so it was just too much. But yeah, it's nothing new, like you said, nothing new under the sun. Uh, any Indian films you've been watching?
I did love Patan. Patan is a Bollywood like spy action movie that's so fun. It was the
Nice.
first Bollywood movie I ever saw. It's been a while. Honestly, I haven't watched much Indian cinema since my kid was born because they're like 2.5 to 3 hours, and it's hard to find the time for them now. But I did buy Mondo Macabro's Bollywood horror box set, and I
Ooh,
watched through it and I did a video on it.
yeah.
And my favorite in there was called Virana. It's from the 80s. It's like a vampire witch movie and it's pretty cool. So
Mm.
those movies are, if you really want to go in the deep end of international film and watch something very different, it's got random musical numbers and stuff, but I think they're fun. I tend to like Bollywood movies.
Thank you, Jeff, for always putting out that hashtag I love movies. That's what it's about. Thank you, Dell. Um, Drop trailer is probably the worst.
I
Shows
don't know what the
entirely.
drop is. I don't think I've
Neither
heard of
do
it.
I. I don't want to know at this point.
But
But
have you
anyway,
seen the drop? Do you know it's the whole movie?
I want to thank everyone again for coming out, hanging out, watching us, staying with us. This has been fun. Anytime you need a guest to talk anything, just let me know.
Cool,
I'm
cool.
I'm definitely interested in coming in, hanging out even more, or just
Yeah, this was
give
a
me a
lot of
line and we
fun.
could just talk movies. I'm always up for it. It doesn't have to be
Cool.
in this kind of setting. So, once again, thank you everyone for checking out the conversation. I might have some episodes coming up. I feel like having another Q&A and also some pre-recorded. I have some new pre-recorded videos up to check out. So definitely do that. Leave comments, subscribe, likes, all that good stuff. But most importantly, go watch a movie. Have a good night, everyone.